Welcome back. In this final session, we'll delve into discussing how an agency can determine if an officer has Giglio issues, conduct that raises concerns, but may not be a Giglio issue, and an agency's responsibilities when receiving a Giglio list. Law enforcement agencies should determine which officers are or in danger of being placed on Giglio lists through a process that involves evaluating the credibility and integrity of officers, particularly in relation to their potential role as witnesses in court cases. The process of determining which officers are placed on Giglio lists involves several steps. 1. Reviewing officer conduct. Law enforcement agencies should conduct internal reviews of officers' conduct, both on and off duty, to identify any actions or behaviors that could undermine their credibility. This includes instances of dishonesty, false statements, misconduct, disciplinary actions, or any other factors that could be used to impeach their credibility as witnesses. 2. Documenting and disclosing information. Agencies should document instances of conduct that could affect an officer's credibility and disclose this information to prosecutorial authorities. This ensures that prosecutors are aware of potential impeachment evidence related to officers who may serve as witnesses in criminal cases. And 3. Seeking prosecutorial review. Agency heads and prosecutors should review the information provided by law enforcement agencies to determine its materiality and relevance to ongoing or future cases. This review is guided by the principles established in Brady and Giglio, which require the disclosure of evidence that could exonerate the defendant or affect the credibility of government witnesses. Handling situations where an officer's conduct raises concerns about their credibility, but does not clearly warrant placement on a Giglio list, involves a nuanced approach by law enforcement agencies and prosecutorial offices. In addressing concerns that may not rise to the level of warranting placement on a Giglio list, law enforcement agencies and prosecutorial offices might adopt several practices. 1. Internal reviews and disciplinary actions. Agencies can conduct internal reviews of officers' conduct and take appropriate disciplinary actions if necessary. This could include retraining, reassignment, or other measures to address and rectify the behavior in question. 2. Documentation and transparency. Maintaining comprehensive records of officers' conduct and any investigations or disciplinary actions taken is crucial. This documentation can be reviewed by prosecutorial offices to assess the potential impact on cases and determine the necessity of disclosure. 3. Collaboration between agencies and prosecutorial offices. Effective communication and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and prosecutorial offices are essential. This includes sharing information about officers' conduct that may not warrant placement on a Giglio list, but could still be relevant to the credibility of the officers as witnesses. 4. Training and education. Providing ongoing training and education for officers on ethical conduct, the importance of credibility, and the potential legal implications of their actions can help prevent situations that raise concerns about their credibility. And 5. Judicial review. In cases where there is uncertainty about the materiality or relevance of an officer's conduct to their credibility as a witness, judicial review may be sought. This can provide an impartial assessment of the information and guidance on its disclosure. When an agency receives a Giglio list, the agency must review the officer's history and assess the impact on current and past cases, and inform all relevant parties, including the district attorney's office and defense attorneys, in cases where the officer has testified. Consider this, for example. An officer is found to have been involved in a serious incident of misconduct. A Brady-Giglio letter is issued, indicating that due to the officer's history of dishonesty, they are no longer deemed credible as a witness. What should the agency do? The agency should conduct a thorough review of cases involving the officer. Notify the district attorney's office and the courts about the officer's credibility issues. And take administrative actions, such as reassigning the officer to non-testifying roles or administrative duties until the matter is resolved. Agencies also have an ongoing responsibility to provide training to officers on maintaining credibility and the implications of their testimony, and to develop and enforce clear policies regarding handling of Brady Giglio issues and ensure compliance with legal standards. Being placed on a Giglio list can significantly impact the public's perception of law enforcement and the trust in the criminal justice system. The Giglio list, derived from the principles established in Giglio v. United States, encompasses law enforcement officers identified as having potential credibility issues due to misconduct, dishonesty, or other factors that could affect their testimony's reliability. As we begin to wrap up, I want to end by talking about a Giglio list's impact on the public's perception of law enforcement. Being placed on a Giglio list can significantly impact the public's perception of law enforcement and the trust in the criminal justice system. The implications of such a list on public perception and trust are multifaceted. The first is 1. Transparency and accountability. The existence of Giglio lists serves as a mechanism for promoting transparency and accountability within law enforcement agencies. By acknowledging that certain officers have credibility issues that could affect their testimony, the criminal justice system demonstrates a commitment to fairness and integrity. However, the need for such lists can also lead to public skepticism regarding the overall reliability and ethical standards of law enforcement officers. The public may question the effectiveness of internal oversight mechanisms and the criteria used for evaluating officers' credibility. Next is 2. The impact on legal outcomes. The requirement to disclose Giglio material, including information that could impeach the credibility of law enforcement officers, is fundamental to ensuring fair trials. When officers on Giglio lists are involved in cases, the disclosure of their credibility issues can influence the outcomes of prosecutions, potentially leading to acquittals or the dismissal of charges if their testimony is crucial. This aspect can foster a perception that the criminal justice system is just and equitable, as it allows for the consideration of all relevant information. However, it can also raise concerns about the reliability of police work and the potential for wrongful convictions based on compromised testimony. Then comes 3. Public trust in the criminal justice system. The integrity of the criminal justice system is paramount to maintaining public trust. The use of Giglio lists and the associated disclosure obligations underscore the system's dedication to due process and the rights of the accused. Nevertheless, the revelation that officers with known credibility issues have been involved in investigations and prosecutions can erode public confidence in law enforcement and the judicial process. The public may become wary of the motivations behind certain prosecutions and the fairness of trials, particularly in high-profile or contentious cases. And finally, 4. The influence on law enforcement practices. The implications of Giglio lists extend to law enforcement practices and policies. Agencies may implement more rigorous standards for officer conduct, reporting, and transparency to minimize the likelihood of officers being placed on Giglio lists. While such reforms can enhance the professionalism and integrity of law enforcement, they also highlight the challenges of managing misconduct and ensuring ethical behavior among officers. The public's awareness of these challenges can influence perceptions of law enforcement's effectiveness and commitment to upholding the law. The balance between maintaining public trust and addressing credibility issues among officers is delicate, underscoring the importance of robust oversight mechanisms and continuous efforts to uphold the highest standards of integrity within the criminal justice system. As we close out this course on Brady and Giglio, we want to thank each of you for engaging in this critical discussion. What we've covered is not just legal theory, it's the real-world foundation of credibility, accountability, and the public's trust in our criminal justice system. For every officer, deputy, or staff member, the message is clear. Your integrity is not optional. It is essential. A single lapse in honesty, no matter how small it may seem at the time, can have permanent consequences. Being placed on a Brady or Giglio list doesn't just jeopardize your ability to testify. It can end your career, unravel criminal cases, and damage the reputation of your agency. But even more importantly, it can chip away at the public's faith in law enforcement. And once that trust is lost, it is incredibly difficult to restore. To the command staff, our responsibilities run even deeper. It's up to us to lead by example, to foster a culture of integrity, and to take proactive steps when we see ethical concerns arise. That means we must have the courage to confront dishonesty, the humility to correct mistakes, and the wisdom to invest in the character and development of our personnel. Our leadership sets the tone. If we tolerate corners being cut or truths being stretched, we create the very conditions where Brady and Giglio violations grow, and our silence becomes complicity. We cannot allow fear or discomfort to keep us from doing the right thing. Transparency, accountability, and consistent standards must be non-negotiable at every level of the organization. When we prioritize these values, we protect not only our agency's credibility, but also the rights of the public we serve and the integrity of the justice system itself. Every report we write, every use of force we explain, every courtroom testimony we give is a reflection not just of the individual, but of our entire agency and profession. Let us make sure that reflection is one of honor, honesty, and professionalism. Your actions matter. Your words matter. And your integrity will always matter, long after the badge comes off at the end of your shift.